Hello, everyone. Eric here, and it's Saturday at noon. So basically, one quarter of the weekend's over, but it's a beautiful day here in Colorado. Sun's out, and the sky's blue, and gonna go out and get a run in later. But I'll tell you something interesting that happened for me this morning. I'm on social media quite a bit, and if you're not aware of that by now, you will be. But I belong to a group of musicians. It's actually a nationwide group, and it's people encouraging each other, and there's funny memes on there and stuff like that, and I really enjoy the heck out of it quite a bit. But somebody posted something today, and actually, I've been doing some homework on this whole thing, so I've got some reference notes, which will be looking above your head. And the post I saw, California passed a bill so that those that hire musicians have to claim them as employees and pay FICA, unemployment, health care, etc. And there's already a pretty good string of responses to that because, as you can well imagine, that's going to upset people that are what they call casual or gig workers. And a gig is basically music slang for a one-off job. You know, you go in, you play, you're done, you get your money. So IRS code states that all gross income received in a year is taxable, and it is technically. So it's one of the misconceptions some people have is if you work under the table and you get cash, and the establishment isn't claiming it, then you can just pocket it and don't worry about paying taxes. And I know it goes on. I see it go on. I am not in the policing business, so I don't care if it goes on as long as I, advise that you're supposed to be paying tax. That's the end of my responsibility. So I'm not going to drop a dime on anybody, And I'm a musician myself, but it's a very casual kind of part-time thing. We play a couple of private parties a month, and every once in a while we do a public gig because people ask us if we're ever playing a bar so they can come out and see us and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I stay, peripherally involved in music because I've been playing since I was a teenager, and that's a very long time. And this interested me quite a bit because basically, as a musician, a lot of bars are now complying with the law because if they want to write off the expense of hiring musicians, they need to issue anybody they pay over $600 a year a Form W-9, which basically gives the IRS the information that they're paying somebody, and it gives the W-9 gives the contracting venue, the bar, the restaurant, the concert hall, whatever it is, a document that includes the name of the business or individual and their TIN, which is either a social security number or an employee ID number. So TIN just means tax identification number. So that is how people get taxed on that stuff when people do request W-9s. And the thing is, bars are waking up to the fact that if they want to write off the expense of having live entertainment in their club, they need to issue W-9s to the bands. Now, I know that a lot of smaller bands don't make $600 a gig, but if they work just twice, they probably will do $600 in calendar or tax year. So, yes, it is clear in the federal government's definition that musicians playing in a club are independent contractors. Now, that is just basic common sense, and there's quite a bit of discussion on this when you are learning how to do taxes. As basically the discussion is independent contractor versus employee. And the reason people want to pay folks as independent contractors is they get out of paying employer taxes. And the reason people want to be independent contractors is they get out of paying employee taxes and also having to claim that income on their taxes. Now, again, you're supposed to be claiming all your income, and that's all I'm going to say about that from now on. But that's the thing. And I'm going to actually share something with you. This is right off the IRS website, so I'm not just making it up, even though I basically do know this, and it goes like this. Let me get back to it here again, sorry. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Let's see, hang on a second. I am terribly on the wrong page. Basically, it goes like this. An independent contractor performs the work that they're being contracted for without close supervision or any guidance as to how they perform the work. Also, another indication of being an employee versus an independent contractor is if your time is tracked. Now, if Joe McGillicuddy hires band XYZ to jam out in his bar on a Friday night, he's basically hiring an independent contractor. And the leader of that band, in turn, i.e., the person that collects the money at the end of the night, is paying his guys or girls as independent contractors as well. Because I lead this band, or actually kind of turned over a lot of that responsibility to somebody that's a lot better at the marketing and talking to people to book gigs. But I have been a band leader at one time or another, including the one that I'm in, for on many occasions over the years. And I can say that I don't tell the guys how they have to rehearse. I don't tell them when they have to rehearse or how much, any of that stuff. Basically, you learn the songs, you come in, you play it together. If somebody's weak on their part, you try it again next week until you guys are all rock and rolling together. And it's just kind of a matter of camaraderie and, pride in doing a job well. And so that's the very definition of independent contractor. So I've been talking a lot about this, but maybe you're scratching your head going, well, what the heck's the deal? So I got into this information. I felt it was kind of my mission because, for one thing, I have a couple of clients out in California. Being a virtual accountant means that I can work for anybody. Basically, I do national because I specialize in federal and state income tax law. I could do accounting worldwide, but I focus in the United States simply because I spend a lot of time and energy on being expert in American tax law. So I do, I do specialize in tax in the states, and therefore I'm able to do both federal and all 47 of the states that have a state tax returns for them. Now, California is going to come up. It's the largest state in population, and also they have a really exciting and convoluted tax law out there. They got a thing called the Franchise Tax Board, which is what they call their Department of Revenue, and it seems like they thrive on being a little bit different from everybody else and a little more complicated. Actually, that state and New York State are the only two I charge an additional $10 to for doing the state returns because it takes more work, especially if they have kids and get the earned income credit. California has its own EITC laws. So, again, you're asking yourself, well, what's the point here? I needed to know what was going on with this because it could come up in my professional capacity as an enrolled agent. So I got on, did my homework about this, and it turns out that it's kind of real. The state Supreme California State start again. The California State Supreme Court unanimously passed a ruling that is enacting a law that the governor out there signed off on. It will go into effect on January 1st, 2020. And yeah, that's right. That's only a week and a half away. So what that basically does is that it is going to require people, for the most part, to pay independent contractors as employees. This is put into place for the Supreme Court case actually started someplace in Los Angeles, and I had all that up here too somewhere. Dynamex Operations West Inc. versus Superior Court of Los Angeles, 2018. The court cited the harm to misclassified workers who lose significant workplace protections, the unfairness to employers who must compete with companies that misclassify, and the loss to the state of needed revenue from companies that blah, blah, etc., etc., etc. Bottom line is they passed this dog of a law out there, and so now the Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, and DoorDash, and if you don't have all three of those in your state, my state's Colorado, and most of my friends are here, and we do have all three of those, and so I think this concerns us as well, because the possibility California sets precedents that often other states follow because they're so big, and of course it doesn't happen very often because there's also a lot of resistance to change that I let's just say California is different, without getting into any details about why that is, or and please don't post any negative political opinions because I'll just delete them. But they're just a little bit different out there, basically. So what's going on with that? Well, I got into this a little bit further. It's Assembly Bill 5, they call it, or AB 5, and it's got a lot of these nice people upset on the musician group that I belong to. There basically there's people saying that the casual one night stand musicians are going to have to be employees of the venue to get paid, and that may or may not be true. But also, I even see people saying that the leader of the band should be paying all of his musicians as employees, and that's probably not true. In most cases, it isn't going to be, and for the simple reasons I stated earlier. Basically, I'm not standing over someone and telling them how to do their work, telling them how long to do their work. Basically, you contract with somebody to, learn these 4 songs. They come in, they know the songs, you go out and you play them together. There's not the level of control necessary to classify this person as an employee. So don't worry about it. And if you were thinking that was the case, then take a deep breath and relax. It's not. Okay. So, but I got into this a little bit further, and I managed to find an actual copy of the bill online, and I posted it in an earlier post this morning. It's legiscan.com/ca/tech/ab5/2019. But you don't have to remember all that. Just scroll to my more previous posting than this one. Just click on the link. And the whole thing's right there. And I also copy and pasted Section 2, 2750.3 added to the labor code into my post, because this is the pertinent part, and this is the part I really want to discuss. It's important. So listen to this carefully, and I'll excerpt. A person providing labor or services for remuneration shall be considered an employee rather than an independent contractor unless the hiring entity demonstrates that all of the following conditions are satisfied. A, the person is free from the control and direction of the hiring entity in connection with the performance of the work, both under the contract for the performance of the work and in fact. Now this is more or less borrowed language from the IRS code anyway, so it's pretty similar thinking. Now B, listen to this one carefully because I'm going to come back to it. The person performs work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business. C, the person is customarily engaged in an independently established trade, occupation, or business of the same nature as that involved in the work performed. Okay, so C, obviously, yeah, you're a musician. You play music. Great. You satisfy that. A, the person is free from the control direction of the hiring entity. Sure, yeah. When my buddy Joe McGillicuddy, in my example earlier, hires band XYZ, he doesn't tell them what songs to play. Or he might ask them what their genre of music is, and good bands, and the group I'm in now actually will present a song list and say, hey, is there anything on here that you'd like to hear in particular? So I make a couple of suggestions, but they're not directing the performance. So A and C, good to go. Now here's B, and this is why this gets important, because I think there's going to be some interpretation of this and a lot of discussion on it in the weeks to come, and I'm wondering what California does about this, because frankly, it could be a huge mess for those guys, but I'll get back to that too. Let me go back to B again. The person performs work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business. Now let's think about what that means. Okay, so the hiring entity, let's say Joe McGillicuddy got his tavern. Does he perform live music for a living? No. What he does is he feeds people booze and food. Okay? And he provides a place for people to come and socialize and, whatever else may be, play darts, pool, whatever. That's his usual business, not music. So it stands to reason that the musicians that play there once or twice a week, because unless a bar is extremely well populated, or that owner's just got a ton of money, doesn't know what to do with, basically bars have music 1, maybe 2 nights a weekend, And in some rare cases, they may have several other nights. And I know there's some places that are strongly supportive of the music industry, and they do other things. Karaoke is a good example. You think karaoke musicians should be employees? And I use the word musician, actually. A couple of people that I have known that were hosts or hostesses were actually musicians in their real life before they decided to start a karaoke company. They're actually really good professional level singers. So I know, as a musician, I understand the negativity surrounding karaoke, but because it kind of takes gigs away from live performing artists. But yes and no. I mean, if a venue wants live music, they can find it, and there's good quality people out there at all times, because there's a lot of talent, and it's all over the country. I mean, I grew up in Southern California, which is why I'm interested in this. But I've also played out in suburban Philadelphia, and there was like a huge following for the band I was in out there, even though it wasn't really anything more special than most groups I've played with over the years. But the thing is that people just love music out there, and the suburb that I was living in was about 15 miles away from where John Oates grew up, from the band Hall & Oates, and they were still very popular because it was the early 80s. So, yeah, I mean, people are going to want to go out and see live music. And that band, it was kind of funny. We would go to the music store and get the top 40 list for the week, and if a song was moving up the list, we'd learn it. Yeah, it seems kind of crazy because people can just drop and it was a quarter back then, I'm pretty sure, into a jukebox and get the same song, but there's a different energy to that, as opposed to people covering somebody's song that they recognize, and that's why they go to hear it. But at the same time, they want to dance, and they're basically sharing and interacting energy with the people that they're watching on stage. And that band in particular, we could pack 40, 50 couples on the floor for most of our songs. It was just incredible. I really miss that group, but it feels like 1,000 years ago, and I was a lot younger. And anyway, I'm kind of digressing off the point a little bit here. There's always going to be a demand for live musicians, whether they play their own stuff or other people's. And that's just going to be the way it is. And it's going to keep happening in California no matter how the law states they have to be paid. But here's my point. Let me get back to point B of this code, 2750.3, Section 2 of Assembly Bill 5. Again, the person performs work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business. You know what that means? All you casual musicians out there playing at the bar, playing at the restaurant, chances are you're going to be able to retain your independent contractor status, even though everybody's telling you can't. And I'm telling you, I'm an enrolled agent, and that's the way that I interpret this. So I would have no hesitation in arguing this in tax court. None at all. Now, maybe I'd get, ruled against, but that's the thing, is even, the most talented, experienced lawyers don't always win all their cases. Main thing I'm trying to share here is I think if you're from California and watching this, I got one person on now, but maybe later if you watch the recording of this and you're from California, whether or not you're a musician, I think this is kind of important to keep in mind, is that there's a really good chance that you don't have to freak out about being the employee of either your band leader or the bar that you're playing in, because the law clearly states, in my interpretation, that you're still an independent contractor. So, I was kind of hoping somebody would pop in and have a question about this at any point, and if you do or don't, that's fine, because, it's one of those things, again, it's the law, and the law is meant to be changed. That's why both the federal government and all the state governments have constitutions, and then there are amendments to these constitutions, because the law is not static. And if a government's meant to last over the decades and centuries, you have to have changes because, civilization evolves. So this is one law that I would like to see an amendment hung on this. There's something in here further about exceptions for fine artists. Let's see. Physicians, surgeons, dentists, podiatrists, psychologists, or veterinarians are exempted. So are accountants. Sweet. Real estate brokers, also sweet, because you're my people. Commercial fishermen, that's another one. So there are some accepted Uh, there are some accepted professions. I'm sorry, I'm reading while I'm talking. I apologize for that. Uh, Here it says graphic design, grant writer, fine artist. So, what I would like to see for all you nice people struggling to make a few bucks out there in La La Land is that the definition of fine artist is expanded and clarified to include those people that are working casually to share their creativity and their talent with other people. Because I'm an accountant, I chose to do this for a living, and I enjoy it, and I love being able to help somebody. I love solving the problems. But deep down, I'm a musician at heart, and I always wanted to do that when I was a teenager. And I understand that people that are able to share any level of music at all, even if you just fool around for your family, basically you're kind of plugged into a wavelength that's running throughout the universe. I believe that God created the universe with a sound, you know, that thing that you've heard of called the Big Bang. And I think that anybody that enjoys music at any level, whether or not they play it or just listen to it, dance to it, whatever, are basically tuned into a very special wavelength. And I think it's very important, and particularly out in California. First of all, it is the largest state in population, as I said earlier, but there are a ton of creative people out there. My one sibling, my little brother, is not quite 4 years younger than I am, a hugely, tremendously talented drummer. Matter of fact, he played with the guy that runs Everclear, Artie Alexakis, many, many years ago. I mean, guy's much better musician than I am. And, you know, this is where I grew up. There was just a lot of talent running around. We were about basically a 15-minute bicycle ride away from Venice Beach, which you see in the movies all the time. And, you know, just down La Brea Boulevard from Hollywood and Westwood and all that stuff. So, I mean, there is a ton of creative people out there, and I hate to see you folks believe that you're handcuffed by a bad law. Now, speaking of that and that law, I'm wondering about the interpretation. I started talking about that earlier of point B in that code, section 2750.3, sorry. I got off there. The person performs work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business. So I am thinking, well, what if the band is playing in a venue that is there strictly for the enjoyment of music? We've got a place that used to be a movie theater back in the 80s called Stargazers, but it was the Dome Theater many, many years ago. And people basically go there to hear music. Now, are those guys basically performing outside the usual course of that hiring entity's business? Maybe not. Now, we don't have to worry about this in Colorado yet, but one thing I really want to stress is I'm keen, well, actually, it's going to be more than one thing. I'm keenly interested in the progress of the evolution of this law in California. And the other thing is I'm extremely keenly interested and devoted to not having something like that happen here in my state. And I don't think we want this in other places either. Basically, gig employees, people that work on one-off professions that are not directed closely as to how they perform their work, should remain independent contractors. And it is, I agree with the basic undercurrent of feeling that I was seeing with this Facebook discussion, that this is one of those laws that extremely overreached. And then there was the usual, well, you know, the blah, 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 you know, political party X, it's all these guys and everything. And I was like, okay, well, you know, right there, the discussion devolves, because all of a sudden people are pointing fingers at one half of the population, and that's not the way to get things done. We're already having enough problems because of that. What we need to do is recognize as a civilization that we love the efforts and the output of creative people, and we shouldn't hamstring them in such a fashion. If they've got to have this law in the books, and there's a lot of people in the trucking industry that are losing their minds over it because obvious reasons. I mean, these guys want to be independent contractors too, and now all of a sudden they're being told they're going to have to. And what happens if they drive interstate? I mean, good Lord. I know truck drivers from here, but I'm sure they're going to take reefer trucks into California or whatever, this and that? Are they going to have to actually file employee state taxes in California? It's again, this is one of those things that some laws are better than others, and I don't think this one's very good. But I really just jumped on here to discuss this, um, and hopefully take any questions you guys might have, or you want to add something. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Pop on. I've got my glasses on so I can read close. I can see whatever you write. But in any case, matter of fact, I'm going to wave to the three people watching me and thank you guys for hanging in there. Um, Basically, kind of pinballing around a little bit with my thoughts, but this is just very important because this kind of thing. Hey, Stace. Okay, we got somebody new. How you doing? It's important that people who basically make $100, or I've played for as little as $20 and a dinner at some places. You shouldn't have to file FICA taxes for that. I mean, give me a break, okay? And the thing is, again, we go back to 2750.3 subsection B. If you are not performing the work that's in the usual course of that entity's business, you're still a contractor. Now, that's my personal opinion. You folks are not jumping on here and arguing with me, so hopefully it means y'all agree with me, which is great, and I love you all for it. Thank you. But the thing is, yeah, I welcome this discussion, and please post later if you think of something. And this is probably not the last time I'm going to be on about this because A, I'm a tax accountant, and I am licensed to do taxes in the whole country, but also for every state. And California definitely has a state income tax, but also because I'm a musician and I care about this. Now, I have been in a position in the past, and I'll share something personal with you. So, I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Not the actual number anyway, but many, many years ago, I told my dad I wanted to be a musician. He says, "You're never going to make any money doing that. You need to go to college, get a real profession, work hard, and retire in 25 years or whatever." And he gave that whole speech because it's what he did and what he was told he should do. And I respect and love him for it. We always had clean new clothes and shoes and everything. But the thing is, he basically killed my dream. And so, of course, I rebelled against that. I did not go to college at the time. And I got in a pretty good local band out there. But I basically entered a cycle where I would play music for about a year to a year and a half, get sick and tired of being broke and begging other people for food, and go and do something for work, a W-2, a wage earner position. And I would do that until I got sick of not playing music, and then go back to step A and rinse and repeat for about the next 30 years. With variations, certainly. And one thing is I took a 4-year break, decided to be a forward observer in the military in my late 20s. And I could not wait to get back to playing music after 4 years of regimented life like that, and having the same haircut as everybody else. God bless America and our troops, and I love all you guys, and I also love being a veteran. There's a lot of respect afforded to us these days that I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't really there in the late 80s and early 90s, but at the same time, it was tough for me because I was kind of used to being special, and all of a sudden I became ordinary. Now, that's the way I felt then, okay? And, don't get mad at me for saying that. I'm just sharing my 20-year-old feelings, and it was a long damn time ago, okay? So, anyway, what was my point? Being a musician, working, being a musician, working, being a musician, working. I just always wanted to play. And I was actually told that if you do anything besides playing music, you're making a mistake because you're really very good and you care about it. And that didn't do me any favors either because I continued to be broke and, that whole thing. And, well, anyway, long story short, I've made it to this age, and I actually turned my back on music for 5 years in an effort to become some kind of an entrepreneur. After leaving a Fortune 500's insurance center, accounting center actually, I just decided that I got to work at home, okay, one way or the other. And, it took several years to figure it out, but in that period of time, I did not play until late 2016. I was like, I really miss playing, because you just do. But I had grown up enough to realize that, I'm not going to grab the brass ring. I'm not going to make $10 million at it. I mean, it's still possible. And, I haven't totally given up on the possibility of writing a very good song that enough people like to make money at it. So you don't want to ever say never. Never say never, because you're just telling the universe that you don't want it. And then that's it. You just took a leak all over your dream, okay? So don't do that. Never say never. But also, there's a harsh reality, and it's simply this. Musicians at my level of talent basically get paid a certain amount of money, and it seems to be about $100 a night. So I can't live the way I want to live it on $100 a night, three times a month. It's just not going to happen. I mean, you ever heard that old joke about what do you call a musician without a girlfriend? The answer is homeless. So, but for many of my brethren and sisterin out there, is that the word? I don't know. You guys understand that, because kind of been that whole hand to mouth thing. It's very, very hard to actually live like a human being and do just music. I see people do it, and what they do is they give lessons, or they open up a music store, or they do something else besides just playing gigs. And I respect the hell out of all of you. You're actually in music all the time. I've got several friends like that, and I look up to you all, okay? And that's why, to kind of explain the last 5 minutes, I'm not really off track here, because I'm saying that a guy that wants to make 100 or even $50 on a weekend shouldn't have to fill out a damn W-4 and have to deal with getting a damn W-2 in January to file taxes on that money and lose some of it and have some of it withheld at the time. I mean, like I say, there's a place called Woodlands Deli down by Colorado College, and I was doing original material. I kind of went through this phase where I just wasn't going to do any covers, and I've got an anthology of material I've written, and I think I was doing a couple of Beatles songs, and I used to do a Stray Cat Strut on 12 string, the Stray Cats, but I used to play for 2 hours in a deli, and they would pay me $20 on a sandwich. Now, can you imagine having to actually fill out a W-4 for that? It's not right. And if you're in California and you're listening to this, whether live or later, I am in your corner. And if you want help with this, or you can think of a way that I can help you to support your efforts in fighting this, please direct message me. You're on Facebook. Just click on my name, send me a DM. Let's talk. This is going to be, I'm running a business, and I got a lot of important things to do, and I have a lot of clients I'm really, really grateful for. But I've got enough time in my life to cut out a little bit of TV time to spend on this campaign. I'm on a bit of a crusade here to learn as much as I can as possible about this, and I want to help you if I can. So that is basically what I wanted to talk about today, and I went like way over 30 minutes actually, which I didn't intend to do. But you guys are awesome for hanging in there and listening to what I have to say. I don't see any last minute questions, so I'm going to wave the last person that jumped on. Man, thank you all. You guys are awesome. And I want to wish you all a weekend. And if I don't see you between now and Wednesday, a Christmas full of abundance, joy, peace, and love, and all the happiness and great feelings of the holidays, because, that's really what it's all about. If we had this kind of a spirit of camaraderie and friendship and compassion for each other, even people we don't know, I think Jesus said that someplace. And hey, isn't his birthday what this is all about? So, love to you all, and thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.